Bleav in the Dallas Cowboys. Look, Bleav is the name of, our partner. Bleav in the Cowboys, I suppose, is the title of the show, but it doesn't mean that anybody here actually believes in the Cowboys. It's the title of the show. I, of course, am Jeff Kavanaugh, and this is former Cowboys wide receiver Jesse Holley. Good evening, Jesse. I'm sorry for screwing up the schedule, but we're here now.
That's all good. When you get that live money, just make sure you look after a brother. You know what I'm saying?
I'm working on it. I'm working on joining the Live Tour. I fired a 101 from the one-ups today, so I'm right on track. It's going to be really soon. We'd like to thank our partners at Bet Online, who continue to be the number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest odds, news, sports developments, including Major League Baseball, the latest fighting news, even next season's early NFL futures with training camp right around the corner. Bet Online's opened up their odds for team wins, division futures, of course, the Super Bowl. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, to get the bonus and get into the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Welcome, everybody.
What would be your price to go to live right now?
To go play golf over there?
To do media for live. You have a price?
Oh, to do media for live.
You would have to live in Dubai.
Man, that's so hard because right now, I'm comfortable. But if they told me we'll give you $10 million to be here for 12 months, yeah, I'd probably go to the Live Media Tour.
$10 million?
Yeah. I wouldn't do it. I don't think I would do it for $1 million. I like where I am. I'm happy. I'm good. My bills are paid. Life's good. My mental health would go down. I'd be away from my friends and stuff.
You can go up. You can fly your friends to Dubai.
That's true. No, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I bet $2 million, two or 2.5 maybe. I go over there for 12 months. I give them 12 months. Yeah.
For $1 million, if they said, "Hey, you got to come over here for a year for $1 million, and you can't call your mom for a year," I would block her.
Oh, Jesse.
I would block my mom.
Oh, Jesse Holley.
I would block her.
Oh, Jesse Holley.
I would block her just so she wouldn't attempt to call me. I would block her for a whole year.
Jeff is richer than Kyler Murray. No, I don't have 5 figures even in a banking account at the moment. But I have income. I spend it. But I'm okay. I got my house. I got my car. I got stuff. If I go over there, I couldn't play volleyball on Tuesday nights. You know?
You play sand volleyball every day. What are you talking about?
But not with my team in the league. We got league play. It's league play.
You could have a nice league in Dubai. You could have the Jeff Kavanaugh, whatever Kavanaugh league of sand. All the sand in the world in Dubai is over there. You have the best sand volleyball game happening.
I just talked them into hosting the league games. I'll be like, look, here's the thing. Everybody's got to fly here. Whoever we're playing this week, get on the plane. We'll see. Kilgore in the Super Chat, Training Camp Fund. Appreciate you. Will CeeDee be a better receiver when it's all said and done? And if so, by how much? Oh, I guess that's in relation to Amari Cooper because I put Amari Cooper's name in the title. CeeDee Lamb will have a better career than Amari Cooper. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to pull up what Amari Cooper has done so far because I'm going to tell you what. CeeDee's going to have 1,300 yards this year. Amari's never had 1,200. Amari is already 8 years into the league. He has 7,000 yards. CeeDee is 2 years in the league, is over 2,000. So Amari started about the same as CeeDee. He started with 1,000 and then 1,100. But then injuries and injuries and injuries. And then last year, some injuries. I think Amari's body is beat up and his really, really, really good football is coming to an end. And I think CeeDee's really, really, really good football starts this year. Yes, CeeDee will have a better career than Amari Cooper.
Okay. Why do we do this as a society? Not just us, not just people. We do this as a society, right? We have to
put people against each other.
Not even that, but we have to forecast these things out so far. It's we do it with Luka. They're like, oh, Luka's, by the time Luka's done, he's going to be a top 3 player in the NBA. And we don't know what is going to happen today or tomorrow. Injuries, teams, we don't know. And so we do this a lot. We do this projection. I saw a stat
today. Do you know how hard it is to generate content if we're not allowed to guess at what's going to happen in the future, Jesse?
We can't guess, but like, why do we have to always go so far? Like we go out there. Like we go out there with everything. So
let's simplify. Let's simplify, because his actual question verbatim was, will he be a better receiver than Amari Cooper? And yes, I think when you go at
career.
Okay, that's my fault. If you take at his peak Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb at what you think his peak will be, who will be the better receiver? I will say CeeDee Lamb.
Okay. I'm not arguing you. I'm not arguing. I think the same thing. There's no hate here. There's no hate here. I just always feel like I said, I saw something today that was talking about what's the kid, the Mavs draft, the Hardy kid.
Yeah, like 37th overall, but he was the number 1 high school player in the country a year ago. So
literally the line said, what will his stat line be in 3 years? I'm like, damn.
He'll either be out of the league, or he'll be their 9th man, or he'll be the starting 2 guard, or I don't know.
I'm like, dog, it's year 3. The man, it ain't even October yet. He even played. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't play 1 NBA game yet.
But CeeDee's played 2 NFL seasons. Like, I get it with a 19-year-old who hadn't played NBA basketball yet. And, like, I would, even in, like, baseball, like the Rangers, Jack Leiter, who hasn't played Major League Baseball yet, but, like, the pedigree is so big that I'm comfortable saying he's going to kick ass. Like, I'm comfortable with what I know about CeeDee. And I think Amari at his peak was a top 10 wide receiver, never a top 5 wide receiver. And I think CeeDee at his peak is going to be a top 10 wide receiver, and top 5, we'll see. Hell, he might end up right about in the same spot.
I want to say, so it sounds like they may be neck and neck. It sounds like, and let me tell you something. It's not a bad career. If we think everything has to be like Yellow Jacket, like there's a reason there's only a select few people that get a chance to go to Canton. That doesn't mean that you're not a success. Like if CeeDee Lamb never ascends to be the next Cowboy to go into the Ring of Honor or go into Hall of Fame, it does not mean he did not have a successful career. The wide receiver position is the one position on the offensive side of the football that requires so many things to go right for you to get your
except when Josh Gordon was in Cleveland. My guy put up like 1,600 yards with bums everywhere.
Yeah, but it goes. I always call this like the Paul Millsap stat line, right? Like, oh, Paul Millsap's an all-star. He's playing in Utah. I'm like, yeah, but Paul Millsap takes 27 shots a game. So you take 27 shots a game. If he makes half of them, 2-pointers, that'll be about 20-something points. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, you could be the best guy on the worst team and put up the most iconic numbers, but it equates to nothing. Now, don't get me wrong. I've been a Josh Gordon fan for a long time. I thought Josh Gordon, had he been in a different situation and maybe, his mental and his all other stuff that was in line, he could have been he might have been the one who had a yellow jacket because he had the talent to do so. But there's a lot of determining factors that go into play when you're talking about, like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine Megatron with Aaron Rodgers. Like, he would have shattered every record there possibly could have been.
Yeah, because Megatron's maybe the biggest freak show in the history of the league.
You know what I mean? So it's like there's Randy Moss in Minnesota, and then there's Randy Moss in Oakland, and then there's Randy Moss again in New England. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, Randy Moss in Minnesota was also probably the biggest cheat code of all time, because how many different dudes did he send to the Pro Bowl? Culpepper, Jeff George. I feel like there's one more at least that I'm missing. Cunningham. Like, whoever it was just, you pat that bitch 3 times, throw it as far as you can. I'll handle it.
Throw it up.
Hand goes up, ball come down.
He's 7 yards away from the defender like this. Like this. No, I got him. Just throw it. Just throw it.
Vance in the super chat wants to know from you, Jesse, fondest Oxnard memories. And he said Jeff would work for Liv if it meant George R.R. Martin would actually finish his books. I'd probably do that. That's a fair trade, yeah, because he ain't gonna finish him. He's gonna die without finishing him. Fondest Oxnard memories, Jesse.
Man, so at that time, this one of the years that we were in Oxnard, Miles was dating Kim.
Oh, yeah.
And so the rule is, and there's always an exception to the rule, right? Jimmy Johnson family said, everyone gets treated fairly, but everyone doesn't get treated the same. And so you're not supposed to have guests, wink, wink. You're not supposed to have guests
in y'all's complex.
Yeah. And it was always just interesting what friend Kim was going to bring. Like, and it's so hard. It's like, you're driving a pink Range Rover. Yeah, of course, we missed that pulling up. You know what I'm saying? And it's always like, as guys like myself, Manny Johnson, other guys, bubble guys and guys who are on the low tier, we're horny. We're horny. We're super horny. It's camp. You get those camp eyes. You're looking at anything like, man, she got some cute eyebrows. And then you have Kim Kardashian walk up on the scene, and she brings a friend or two of hers, and you just like, your horniness now goes through the roof. You just walking around like a humping dog, and Miles is in the compound with Miles is with Kim Kardashian, and Romo's with whoever he's with at the time. It's just, so it's like, those are final memories. And you can't snitch, right? You don't want to be the guy who snitches. I'm no hater. A bunch of people think I'm a hater. I'm no snitch. I'm no hater. But I mean,
Jerry was probably okay with Kim being there. That's good for business.
Absolutely. I mean, okay. At that juncture, maybe Jerry might have had, Kim might have brought Jerry one or two to come through. You know what I mean? Jerry liked him a little thick, so he might have got a little something too. But yeah, like having Kim Kardashian. I loved Oxnard, and I was there at the Cowboys at the time when we did half in San Antonio, then we went to Oxnard. I remember one year, no lie, we did San Antonio, Oxnard, Hall of Fame, Dallas, back to Oxnard. It was the most. I'm like, that's when I knew. I was like, all right, this is totally
a circus.
This is a show. This is a circus, and we're probably never going to win here. But boy, we're having a bunch of fun this whole time around. We were rock stars. It was everywhere. But yeah, that was probably one of the fondest memories of being in Oxnard.
Okay, I'm gonna get to the most important Cowboys topic of the day, which is that Amari Cooper was on the air with my buddy Donovan on the ticket, and they asked him about CeeDee Lamb and if he's ready to step into the Cowboys, being the number one. And I'm gonna read you Amari Cooper's answer, and then you're gonna tell me if he's firing shots at people, what he means, and if he's right. Okay? He says, and I quote, CeeDee's been ready. Again, it's just about opportunity. I think if Kellen decides to feature him, he's definitely ready to step up. CeeDee's a playmaker. I'm just reminded of that Vikings game when we were breaking the huddle. He was ready then. He was like, I want this fade. We've all seen what he's been able to do when you throw him the fade. He's been ready. He's going to make the plays when his jersey number is called, and I can't wait to see it happen. Shots fired?
Of course. Kellen? Of course. Absolutely.
He hates him some Kellen?
Of course he does. Like, a lot of people are going to hate Kellen.
It's so funny because, like, CeeDee, so I was just looking at some numbers today. I want to see, like, where was he last year on the targets list in the league? And he was 24th in the NFL in targets. And so I just wanted to compare him to all the people in front of him. And if you take what he did with the number of opportunities he had, like, there was only 2 or 3 guys of the 23 people who were targeted more than him. There was only 2 or 3 that had a higher yards per catch. One was Jamar Chase, and I don't remember who the other 2 were. But he was getting 14 yards per catch, which is more than almost everybody in front of him. The amount of catches and yards that he got with the targets that he had was on a better track than most of the guys in front of him. And he did miss one game. So in theory, I guess you could say he would have had like 8 more targets. But I think he's going to be a target monster.
I mean, you don't have to look any further than his own team. He only had like 14 more targets than Dalton Schultz, which to me goes along the line of coaching malpractice.
Is that Dak or Kellen? Is that Kellen or Dak?
No. See, okay, so I was getting ready to get into that. See, and this is where we get into the whole Kellen or Dak situation. But I know what it looks like to be featured. Like, in every single offense in America, you can call plays that damn near makes it the ball have to go to that guy.
And you know it. Like, you can speak in the NFL. I can speak in college. You know when you break the huddle when a play is called, who is supposed to be getting the ball.
I think the Cowboys try to get away from this thing where it's like we're equal opportunists and we're spreading the ball around. And sometimes you got to kind of go Aaron Rodgers a little bit and just being like, yo. And this is the part that I kind of get on Dak about, and I want to see more of the take control of what's happening. Like Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, those when they see a matchup, I don't give a damn what we called in the huddle. I see 88 on a guy with an advantage. Hey, we're running this.
Check.
That's where Tony was really, really good at. Like Tony was really good at, and the play that we all most infamously remember is the Dez no catch, right? And if you go back to that play, that was
he should have thrown it to Cole, kept milking the clock, but he saw single coverage with 88, and he went, oh, ho, ho, ho.
And that was the only time, if you go back and watch the film, the only time that they gave Dez one-on-one coverage. The entire game, they said, nope, we're not giving it to him. And Tony said, I got it. And I like this. I don't care who you had out there. I like my guy one-on-one. And whatever side of the fence that you sit on, catch, no catch, whatever it was, maybe even if Dez did catch it, he was giving Aaron Rodgers the ball back with like 3 or 4 minutes left. He was going to go back down and score again anyway, but whatever. But that's the part of being a cold-blooded assassin, at the quarterback position, that I just want more of Dak to be like, hey, I'm going at this dude 7 times in a row. I don't care. Like, I'll be in a huddle and call a play and be like, hey, CD, no, you go play Z. Hey, whoever you are playing Z, you're going to go play what CD was playing at because I need this matchup. And you have to be able to feature your guys more often. And when you see guys like Jamar Chase and you see guys like Devontae Adams and you see guys like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, like the Rams won a Super Bowl. And it was basically because they got in that huddle and McVay and what's the quarterback's name? I'm drawing a blank. Stafford was saying, hey, we're going to number 10. Okay? No more pussyfooting around with this other guy, tight end dude who keeps dropping the ball. We're going to number 10, and we're going to live and die on this drive with going to number 10 all the way down the football field. They knew it. The Bengals, everyone knew it, and it was nothing that you can do. And I think that's what we have to get more of from our offensive coordinator, from our quarterback, to get guys like CeeDee Lamb the football at any cost.
So I saw these numbers. Like, I'm going to take it back to the 49er game because, like, I do think that Dak, when he sees a matchup, will go at it, especially if it's man coverage. Because I remember the 49er game, the one time they blitzed, he went, oh, hell yes. And he threw the slot fade to Amari Cooper for a touchdown. Like, thank you. You want to play man coverage on Amari? Bombs away. But the one thing about Cooper Kupp that is so wild is that I saw numbers on this the other day, and amongst wide receivers in the NFL, he was the guy most often in the league, by far, covered by a linebacker. So, like, Sean McVay is designing his entire offense. Like, you know who my best guy is, and I'm still going to find a way.
Right.
You're going to have an inferior cover guy on him, and we're going to target him 200 times this year. I think he had like 196 targets. And in the 49er game, that's what, like, Coop did score from the slot. And most of the game, it was Cedric Wilson in the slot and Dalton Schultz in the slot or at tight end. And you knew that was what was going to be open because San Francisco was playing conservative. Rush 4, drop 7. The guys who were going to have a chance to eat were going to be the guys on the inside. And it was Cedric Wilson and Dalton Schultz most of the game. Like, that was my one Kellen Moore criticism, where I think there's a lot of good about him. But that one was like, you knew the spots that could eat in this game, and you didn't put your premier players there. I don't like that.
The Cowboys roster, year in and year out, is far too good for you not to, like, on a regular basis, abuse people. Right? Like truly abuse people. And we see flashes of it. I think that's the frustrating part, is that we'll see flashes of it. It's that they'll have a 2 or 3 game, splash where they're just dominating, the ball going all around the field. But, like, the good ones, the good OCs and the good quarterbacks, they know how to design plays to get their guys in position, to get the matchup that they want. Unless it's just like star coverage or like, hey, Jalen Ramsey's going to follow Amari Cooper everywhere he goes, or Jalen Ramsey or whoever.
But if he does, even if he does that as an OC, like what I would demand that you do is literally every play, the dude that he is shadowing, like he's going to be in motion at the snap of the ball. Like I'm going to run you through traffic. You're going to have hell. And
you got to, like, at the end of the day, that's going to win out, right? Like that's going to win out because he's going to get clipped. He's going to get something's going to happen. He's going to get bumped off. They're going to do something.
I'm going to motion my guy from the outside to the left, in between the slot and the tight end on the left, and then I'm going to run him across the field with 2 picks. Like, good luck. If you think you can run star coverage, you're going to be chasing my guy around, and it's going to be insane.
And teams do that to us. That's the part that's even more frustrating. Teams do it to us. It happens to us every single week that teams say we're gonna try to find the best matchups and give our guys the best opportunity to succeed. Yet and still, we'll go, oh, yeah, we have a matchup here, but we're not going to go over there. We're going to go over here. It's like, wait, what? Why are we doing that? Like, what are we doing this for? Oh, you know what? We're not going to do this. We're going to do that. Oh, there's 9 guys in the box, but we're still going to run it because because my teaching and training says that I have to run it right here. Why?
Yeah. Vance in the super chat, he said, is the issue Kellen Moore or Kellen Moore not being allowed to call the plays with the personnel he desires? That's one thing I don't buy. Like Jerry and Steven meet with the coaches each week. Like they're in that room where everybody gets together. So like their voices are heard and they have influence in their organization. But you'll never convince me that a head coach or an offensive coordinator is being told by Jerry Jones, like, here's the thing. You're going to play 2 tight ends and you're going to run the ball up the middle. Because as a head coach, I'd be like, well, we're going to get fired if we lose, and that is going to lose. So I'm a coach. Like, I don't think Kellen is being neutered by anyone. I think Kellen is the offensive coordinator, and he's doing his job.
Yes, I agree 100%. They didn't keep Kellen Moore on here to tell him what to do. They kept Kellen Moore here because they want him to do what he did, whatever that is that he's supposed to be doing. They kept him here for that reason.
Well, I found out about a half hour ago. I already knew I was going to be at camp, but I thought I might have to be watching from the other side of the fence. But it turns out that your boy got credentialed. So I'll be right there on the sideline, bothering people, smacking Broadus on the butt as I walk by, sticking my finger in Todd Archer's ear as I walk by, just messing with people. What else, as we are 5 days away, are you thinking about or looking forward to?
You got your bucket hat?
Ooh, I have to look around. If not, I'll get one.
Gotta have one. That's your staple, man.
Hold on.
No bucket hat at camp is like, I don't know, like a fish out of water. You gotta have the bucket hat.
Where the hell are my bucket hats? I found a Gilligan one. I found like an outdoor mowing the lawn as a 50-year-old white guy bucket hat, but that's not a real bucket hat.
No, you look like Voch right there though with that one on.
That's like I'm floating the river hat. I'm trying not to get sunburned bucket hat. I don't know where my bucket hats are. I'll have to look around.
What are you looking forward to heading into camp? This is what your what's this, like your 10th camp?
I was at the fan 11 and a half years, but I would say I didn't start going to camp until like probably 4 years into that. So probably like my 7th or 8th camp, something like that.
So what do you look forward to heading into camp? Year 7 for you heading out to Oxnard.
I think for me, it's always the.
Let me phrase the question. What is your? I was about to say, what is your package? You're like, wait a second, hold on. Like, but what is your breakdown? Like, okay, like, all right, Jeff Cavanaugh, I'm in Oxnard. The first thing I'm going to do is this, and then when I get to practice, I want to see this. Like, what is your routine when you get to Oxnard?
I just figure out which field I think they're going to do their 11-on-11 practice on, and then I figure out on that day, do I care more to be on this end or this end, where it's going to be before they do it, O-line versus D-line, or do I want to watch wide receivers versus DBs, et cetera, et cetera?
You're right, Booty Nasty. That's a mad pause. I shouldn't have said that.
Huh?
No, I said Booty Nasty. Said pause. You're right, Booty Nasty. That's a major
pause. And then this year it's interesting because I want to watch both, so I'll probably just have to split the difference and start doing this. But the first thing I'll be watching is the offensive line, because if Tyler Smith isn't a good left guard, if Tyler Biadasz isn't a capable center, and if Terrence Steele isn't a capable right tackle, your team is in trouble. Like, the wide receiver depth bothers me. I can't believe they're going into a season the way that they are, but they're going to do it, maybe. But the offensive line, I mean, the Cowboys just didn't like Amari Cooper and Lyle Collins. Now I'm not reporting this. I'm giving you my opinion on why I think those guys aren't here. I think Jerry Jones was out on Amari Cooper as soon as he wasn't vaccinated. He was out.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they were out on Lyle Collins after they felt like he didn't have a surgery that he should have had because of the COVID uncertainty, and that costing him games. And then there was the P thing and the quote bribing or whatever suspension.
Yeah,
and
that was it. That was the straw that broke the camel's back right there.
And I think at that point, the Joneses were out on Lyle Collins. So when the season ended, they got rid of 2 good NFL players that they didn't have to. They could afford them both right now if they extended Dalton Schultz instead of tagging him. They could have all those guys on the team. They chose not to because they didn't like them. And now, because of that, you're going to go into a season where those are going to be the 2 things that matter the most. Is the 2 guys you didn't like that you ran because you don't like. Those are now your biggest holes. The replacement for Amari Cooper that's Amari's replacement. Because like CeeDee can be the number 1, that's fine. But you have 3 receivers on the field. The one who is gone now is being replaced by a 3rd-round draft pick or James Washington, a journeyman vet minimum guy. And then I hope Terrence Steele's good. I hope he's good.
Just to make a break.
That's probably watching. Like Tyler Smith at left guard, Terrence Steele. Those are probably the things that I'm most interested in is seeing. Is this offensive line going to be good enough for them to be good? And can they survive with the receivers they got until Gallup gets back?
Yeah, that wide receiver is because you're really like a hammy, an ankle, sprained knee away from struggling at that wide receiver position. Because think about the offseason. James Washington hadn't even really worked with Dak yet. He's been in a boot, and Jalen Tolbert missed the OTAs because he had a hammy. Like before we've even gotten to camp, you've gotten to see what it might look like. It might be CeeDee Lamb, Noah Brown, and TJ Vasher. That might be your wide receiver core. Yeah.
That's scary. Thankfully they play in the NFC East. So
is there one player on this entire roster that you think has the most pressure on them heading into this season?
Am I allowed to say it's always Dak? If I'm allowed to, it's always Dak.
I mean, all right, that's easy answer, right? That's easy.
Other than Dak, I would say it's not his fault, but Terrence Steele's towards the top of that list.
Why is it not his fault?
Because he didn't get rid of Lyle Collins. Like all he's doing is playing football.
He played well enough to give them the thought process of we can do life without Lyle Collins because of Terrence Steele.
Yeah. Part of me wants to say Trayvon Diggs because I feel like he's so polarizing, and the 11 interceptions, like you can think whatever you want about him if you have any negative thoughts about Trayvon Diggs, but for at least 1 year, if you 11 times after a play, like they had the ball and now we have the ball, and it was because of you 11 times,
right?
You had one of the best cornerback seasons in the league. I don't care what else happened. You gave me the ball 11 times, you monster. Or 14. Was it 14?
No, it wasn't 14.
It was 11. But he's also a pretty good cover guy. Like he's aggressive. He's a guesser a little bit, and he'll get beat. So I think there's a lot of pressure on Trayvon Diggs because now it's like everybody knows the numbers because all of a sudden we care about how many yards you give up as a corner, which hadn't really been a stat until Trayvon Diggs. And then Pro Football Focus like, he gave up so many yards. And Next Gen Stats like, no, he gave up 400 less than that. So to just show that he is a really, really good corner and not just a dude that caught some balls, I think he's towards the top.
Yeah, Trayvon, and I left this out because I did say player. I should have said player and or coach. That might have gave you a different perspective.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's nothing Mike McCarthy can do about this. There's nothing he can do about it. There's nothing he can do about it. If you don't win the Super Bowl and Sean Payton tells Jerry he wants to coach the Cowboys, He's going to coach the Cowboys. Although I will add this in about that because Jerry, since Jimmy, I guess technically he gave up control to Parcells for a minute so he could get a new stadium. But like, I don't know that he'll do that. And Sean Payton ain't coming here if he doesn't control personnel. He ain't doing it.
I think Jerry's getting desperate.
Yeah.
I think Jerry's looking around, and not to be morbid, but you're starting to see a lot of people dying around you.
Oh yeah, his friends. Yeah.
Friends, people that that he came up into this league with. And he's no fool. Like, he understands that he's closer to the grave than he is in his youth. I think Jerry is getting into that desperate mode of Sean Payton is really my last hurrah. Like, if this doesn't work, this next coach is truly my last hurrah. Either like I don't want to say this, like I'm gonna die, or I have to turn the reins over fully to someone else. Because clearly this isn't working. Like, this isn't that we're, because if you do Sean Payton, you're thinking another 4 years, that'll take us somewhere along the lines of 30 years of ineptitude and lack of playoff success. So it's either grave, or I gotta go ahead and say I ain't got it. And I gotta give it to Steven or to whoever, or Charlotte, whoever, to run this thing. So I think he's getting desperate, and I think at this point in time, it's whatever will and it may not last the entire time. It may be like the first 2 years. It's like, hey, Sean, you got it. And if it's working out, fine. If it's not, then it's like, all right, I'll jump back in this thing and try to save the ship and do what I do. But he knows what it's going to take to get Sean here. He knows that control has to get let up, but he also knows that that's literally probably most likely his last chance. This is going to be his last hurrah. There will be no other coach that I can see leaving their situation, the McVays or the Shanahans of the world, that are leaving their situation to come join your situation, that gives you an opportunity to kind of say, these guys are established. These guys have skins in the wall. They are that new guard of young coaches, not the old guard of the Andy Reids and such like that, but those young coaches to come and to run your franchise. So we'll see. And my answer was going to be Trayvon Diggs, but a part of me is, I think it's a ton of pressure again on Dan Quinn. Like, there's going to be a ton of pressure on Dan Quinn to duplicate what you did a year ago. And I know a lot of people make the
a lot of what he did a year ago was Trayvon Diggs intercepting 11 passes.
Right. Absolutely. Trayvon Diggs intercepting a lot of passes. COVID injuries and suspensions. You find out that Micah Parsons is actually a damn good pass rusher. Holy moly, guacamole! And we're gonna just rush him off the edge more often. And that's gonna be the thing, because 11 interceptions, that's far fetched to me. 5 or 6 is all pro. Like, if you get 5 or 6 interceptions for the next 5 or 6 years, you might get a yellow jacket at some point in time in that space. But I think Dan Quinn has a really big responsibility. You got Jaron Kearse to play outside of his mind last year. That's a journeyman who kind of found his spot here. Malik Hooker is coming around. Trayvon, you got a lot of guys who play above what they actually were playing. So can he duplicate that? And I'm not the biggest, if Mike McCarthy goes, hire Dan Quinn type thing, because I just don't look past the last 4 or 5 years in Atlanta like it didn't happen. I still look at those things and I go, you were in a Super Bowl and you couldn't win it for whatever reason. Now you play on an office coordinator, whatever you want to be, but you didn't stop Tom Brady either. You didn't stop him either. You didn't stop him either. Like, you know what I'm saying? You up 28-3. He had to score more than 28 points to beat you. So you can say whatever you want about the offense, and that's rightfully so. But as a defensive guy, you did not stop him either. So that's an interesting thing. So I think Dan Quinn is a guy who has a lot of pressure on him coming back this year.
Mike in the super chat said the scary thing on the O-line for me is the coach. Can he develop players, or do they have to work with Duke to get better? And I will just tell you, in talking to the people that I know, that I feel like know a lot of stuff about the NFL and offensive line, and knowing coaches and guys who develop people in the offseason and all that, there are a lot of people that think that Joe Philbin's not a very good developer of offensive linemen. And so you should be happy as a Cowboys fan that you're seeing a bunch of videos of your first round pick, Tyler Smith, working with Duke Manyweather.
And let's be very clear about this as well. When you talk about developing, like we're in a day and age now where a lot of these coaches, they don't do much developing.
Well, you don't have much time.
So like when you see the Dukes and you see guys go to the Robs, or you see guys go to their passing camps, all that kind of stuff.
If players care, they better be there because that's where you got time to work on stuff.
Like you're not like to say a coach is developing guys, they don't. Like they there are some things that they can do, but overall, those guys get developed on what they do outside of football, outside of the building. That's where we're at in football. The football world now is you get better and you get developed by going and sharpening your iron against some other guys who got really sharp iron.
Yeah, it's like it's because like in the new CBA, like being at camp all these different years, like I know what a regular practice is going to look like, and a regular practice does not have time for your D-line coach and pick a defensive end. Like they don't have 10 minutes.
Right.
To be me and you working on whatever. It's like your position group is going to go through what we're going to do today. We're going to do these where we do these drills and we're working fundamental periods, but it ain't like you really got a bunch of one-on-one time to work with players. We're on to the next thing. And we're game planning. We're getting ready for week 2. We're not working on your back pedal. We're getting ready for week 2.
That horn is blowing. You get 7 minutes of individual. You get 7 minutes, with offense, defense, whatever. That thing is going. You don't have time to be like, especially with one guy. You don't have time. There's no time. You'll get some work after practice, maybe. But even still, coach work with you a little bit, and then he has to go back in there, get ready to break down film in their meeting, to get ready to have film session when you guys get out the shower and finish eating. So it's all. There's not much developing that coaches do. Per se. So you say Philbin developed these guys. No, you have to go like the Dukes of the world. Like he is legit. Well, he's legit. Let me say that. But he is necessary because he has the time to spend all year long breaking down your film, watching your technique, understanding who you're going against, understanding your deficiencies. And then when the offseason comes, he has the time to work with you in those areas to strengthen those things. Philbin ain't out there working, don't have the machines and all that kind of stuff. He's gonna give you, he's gonna give you that. He ain't doing all that. That ain't happening. He ain't putting on the clinics. So it's imperative that those guys find people like that are able to say, hey, and it's more so in that like offense and defense of line. It's so important because those things, hand placement, right? Balance, leverage, technique is so necessary when you're dealing in those tight quarters, opposed to when you're outside in this more of a skill position, where even some of those things are more loose in their development and their growth than it is when you're talking about interior stuff. So that's just my little 2 cents on developing players from coaches.
Vance says, Jesse saying even if we had Bill Callahan as the O-line coach, nothing would change much. Now, I have that is running game Moses now. That is running game Moses. I Bleav that's the broadest coin to that term. That is the running game Moses. You give me Bill Callahan, I promise my offensive line will be better. I promise you that.
But what Bill Callahan does is he just runs to the strength of his offensive line. He's saying, hey, if we're not a really good reach team or we're not a really good man blocking team, then damn it, we're going to zone this thing. We're going to be elephants on parade. And I'm just going to take 5 fat guys and just run you right or run you left and let the running back be patient, find the hole, see it, slow 2 fast through and get through that thing. I think that's the thing about Bill Callahan. It's not like Bill Callahan's not going to sit here and say, hey, we're not a really good run, zone, or we're not a really good man, or whatever counter, whatever it is. He's going to look at that and go, what are our strengths? What are the guys that we have on this offensive line? Okay, then I'm going to put together the collection of running plays that absolutely best fit this group. And I'm not going to have them doing things outside of their wheelhouse. That's you want to talk about coaching? That is the essence of what makes Bill Belichick so good. Because he says, I am not going to make you do things that I know you can't do well. I'm going to mold this thing that the player that I'm putting on the field, they're going to do the best thing that they do. If you're a third down rusher, guess what you're going to do on third downs for Bill Belichick?
Yeah, and if you're a coach and that's not what you do, you suck.
There's a lot.
And the history of the NFL is a lot of dudes this is my scheme. This is what we do. It's like, well, wait, but you got that, and they can't do that. And it's like, well, then they screw them because this is what we do.
Right.
Well, you're an idiot.
It's a lot of them that do that.
Yeah. It's almost camp time, Jesse. Camp time. You good?
I'm great.
All right, everybody, thank you for joining us on Bleav in the Cowboys, whether you believe in the Cowboys or not. Thanks to our guys at Bet Online for presenting this to you. And remember.
Oh, no, wait. I got to do mine first. Then you do yours.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got to say, Jesse, you got anything to say before we go?
Jesse, you got anything you want to say before we go?
Yeah. Eliminate the contingencies. I love it.
And also remember that you have no idea what anybody's going through, so be cool.